Hello and welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Casey,
Charlie,
Cyndi,
and Josh. And today we are going to be going over a short story that was published in the spring 2019 edition of the Literary Review. Literary Review is Fairleigh Dickinson University's literary magazine. The work at hand that we will be discussing is No Aerial Experience Required by Annie Weinstein. For the discussion starter, No Aerial Experience Required was a short story that was published in the Literary Review's spring of 2019 issue, following a young woman named Allison trying to get by as a waitress and then as a caretaker for an elderly author, all while pursuing her long-shot dream of becoming an aerial dancer. Do you believe that this story shows a reflection of the values that those in today's society have? Do you believe that, like those in Allison's situation, should one make an attempt to do what they love, even if it does not contribute to any sense of financial stability?
people have always told me, and the same goes in return, if you don't like what you're doing, it's work. If you like what you're doing, it's not work. But, we need entertainment. We need entertainment in this world. It would be very, very dull if we had no entertainment by means of financial support. I don't know how one would, it's a good question.
I agree that we do. I think that entertainment and the humanities is what makes us human.
Yeah.
As far as this
Hence
circumstance is concerned, there are some. There. On the contrary, there's also occupations that you may not directly be doing what you love, but you still have the ability to exercise particular traits or aspects or different skills that are pertain to the tasks at hand, which is somewhat reflective with, because as I was reading over this piece, the way that Allison was caring for the author and comparing that to her aerial dancing, they seem to interweave with one another in how having to pick up the elderly author who was beginning to lose his balance.
Yes, you literally had to do a puree to get to him, or something like that.
You need the physical skills for both.
Right.
I also feel that this was a very postmodern piece in how it says a lot about what we value.
Right.
well, I didn't have a problem of her going after her dreams. I had a problem of her killing me.
Yeah. That's negligence.
You mean the way that she neglected him?
Well,
yeah,
because
that's negligence.
See, now that you're saying this was published in 2019, I don't know what people know, but I know because I used to do acting. In the world of acting, if you're not just acting, you're actually doing a 9-to-5. It is known in the theater world that you be honest with whoever you're working with, that this is my dream, and you be honest about the auditions, you be honest about the callbacks, you be honest. If you get it, you're supposed to let them know. You're not supposed to just up and leave and say, I got the part. And the fact that because she wasn't really the nurse, so to speak, that was an actual nurse, the fact that she didn't even call her and say, I have this audition, and there's a chance I might get it, just so you know, you might want to find someone just in case she didn't. And in the world of entertainment, that is, I thought that was something known that you're supposed to do. And then, I could be wrong, but I didn't feel like she had any remorse.
No, I don't.
Like, she was like, oh, well, he died, but I've got my job I've always wanted.
She was playing it out in her head. Ultimately, she was happy with where she was, and it really didn't. She had that. She was thinking about saving him, but I think it was more of a something playing out in her head.
If you think about it, if she got caught, she would have been.
She would have been
arrested for neglect, and probably maybe 5-10 years. But if the family of the author was still alive, they very well could have sued her for neglect.
I think the author probably should have thought before he hired someone like her.
Because in my opinion, in 2019, they have services now that are affordable, and you can use your insurance, where you're getting someone that's their job. That's something they went school to do, and the fact that he picked up some waitress.
Yeah, he liked her because she was
I'm like, she could serve you food, but that doesn't mean you should have her in your home.
We need to have people that are vetted.
So I guess that was in a sense his fault too, but I just, like I said, as a fellow entertainer, I found that hard that she didn't realize that she just neglected him. That's not something you're supposed to do.
Yeah, he was a pretty, I mean, Brett, his personality was pretty scummy as it was. I mean, it doesn't give her the right to just neglect him, but he was pretty eccentric with how he. I mean, he was getting up there in years. There's that to contribute, but he did live in pretty.
Yeah. He still was somewhat sound. It was still sound of mind. You know, the mind was still sharp, but the body was not so much. And like I said earlier, he had 3 wives, and I think he said, "I deserve this after what I put them through," because he was always going.
Allison wasn't too fond about when she found out about that.
Yeah, but having studied a little bit of law here and there, negligence. That's pretty serious, you know. I mean, the family would have to prove, but this is not we're not trying to go down that route, but I'm just saying, it's, you know, she would not have much recourse, let's put it that way.
That can be said about a lot of your perception of the millennial generation, too, where it's gotten to this point where there's a great sense of self-absorption. You wouldn't say that about everyone, but it's that sense that we are so special. Yes, you are, but you still live in a world with other people that are equally as entitled to respect and the ability to pursue their dreams just as much as you are. And then you still have things that need to be accomplished, such as people that are nurses, which is probably, I mean, the author probably should have had a more professional nurse come in and take care of him. They were the one that fed dinner. She did breakfast and lunch and other things.
You know, there's also the other parts that are, we don't want to go into it, but, you know, the other part of caretaking of the elderly, or, you know, things like that. Like, okay, here's the soap, here's the, you know, stuff like that. You know, I personally, even though it would be considered work, I would find it rewarding to work with people, and I do find it rewarding, because I have in the past worked with people with disabilities and special needs and whatnot, and all walks of life, and sometimes just volunteer. And I found that and I know this is a cliche, giving is better than receiving. It's a way of giving back, you know. And it's like, I had one person say to me, wow, he found out I was a millennial. He said, you know, not all millennials are special or whatnot, or like self-entitled or whatever, because he saw me helping him. We just started talking, and he had that mindset where everybody was, but that thankfully it changed that day because I was helping him, and you know.
I read it, actually put it down a couple of times, and then I picked it up, and when I read it, and I was trying to figure it out because I felt like I wasn't really getting it, but because I was a little confused because she was an actress, she was taking care of this man, the author, and why? And then I read to the end of it, and I thought, this doesn't feel finished, and why is he dead? And I'm thinking maybe it bothered me because I spent 20 years in healthcare. That might be why it bothered me so much.
Yeah, there was a lot to pick apart with this piece. And there's a lot to explore too, between the fact that the postmodern, the fact that it does have to do with the sense that idea, values, and priorities too.
Where are your priorities like?
Yeah,
what
because
do you see in 5 years, 10 years, 15?
A job that somebody depends on is important to the community, and you're making income off of it is just as important. I mean, we're constantly harping on the fact that she could have done things a bit more honestly. That's not the kind of person she was. But it's also that idea that the sayers and the doers in society, and how we seem to look up to, we're looking up more to sayers than we are doers. Aerial dancing may be something that you do, but she's surrounded more by people that say. The author is a sayer. He's written, he's published, and really hasn't done much with his life,
Yeah.
which is you see in the text. I think probably the way that it plays out like a passionate dance, you can sense that if you look pretty carefully everything into reading as a number. The theme for the magazine was feverish, was the theme for this magazine. All of the works, it said on the cover, when passions run hot, poems boil. This magazine raises temperatures. Words fail, words flail. The stories need no thermometer. Take two and read in the morning. I mean, this work is about passion. And I think that Allison herself is passionate about fulfilling her dream and is willing to take whatever path it takes. Living in pretty rundown conditions. The one thing that really struck me on the very first page was the fact that her roommate, Hennessy, was boiling dildos in a pasta pot.
I don't want pasta.
Well,
now,
that's
thanks.
what made me, when I first read the beginning, I said, this is going to be an amazing read. By the time I got to page 5, I was like, I'm bored when this is done. And that was my problem, was she starts off wonderful, but then she goes into this mundane story that's been told since 1487 about a woman working as a waitress who wants to make it big in New York City. I mean, that's the oldest story in the book. And she didn't.
Well, I never made it in big New York City, even.
But I mean, she never made the story different from the movies and the TV shows and the plays and that did it already. She didn't. It was the same thing. She's a waitress. She doesn't like it. There's a boy there that she kind of isn't a boyfriend or not. And then this disabled person says, work for me, and again, she's still not doing what she wants to do. She's just working for a living until she makes it big. And there was nothing in there different from all the other stories, the same, and that was why I had a problem with it, because in 2019, you should know if you're going to use a storyline that someone's already done 100 times, you should make it so unique that it can't be compared.
This is like a Hallmark
to the other ones, and it's
like
the
a Hallmark
same story, and the only thing that really catches me off guard is the end. And she's like, oh, he died, but I made my role that I wanted. I'm good.
And she would have to live with that on her conscience. Not that she might.
I don't think she has to.
I know, that's the thing.
I think that's the thing
In
with
theory, you are.
I mean, that's the thing with stories. I think with the postmodern, it doesn't necessarily have to be of perfect quality in order to be published.
Yeah.
And I think that this is a prime example. And I think that it knows that fourth wall goes into the story itself, where you don't necessarily need to be perfect in order to be successful. I mean, granted, nobody's perfect, but even more so today, because art is subjective. I think that whole no aerial experience required refers to the fact that you don't necessarily have to have all of these skills in order to prosper. Like,
no, I understood that. I'm just saying something as simple as she could have made her a garbage man or a mailman instead of a waitress. Because, like I said, I'm now going in with the mindset of this is going to be boring because I've heard this story already. So and the whole entire time, like I said, she never did anything to make me want to. I only kept reading because I knew I was going to be here.
I mean, it would have been so much of a different story.
Yeah, the author herself didn't make it interesting to want to keep reading to the end, to where you go, oh my gosh, what did she do?
It's like duck soup, where
I like ducks and soup.
Groucho decides to make the peanut guy the Secretary of War.
But no, like I was saying to you earlier, it's almost like a Hallmark movie on paper and ink. I mean,
well, minus the ending.
We'll just sweep that under the rug.
But I mean, in a sense, the only thing I will say about that was good about it was technically the main character was the protagonist and the antagonist, because there was really no one in there who was like stopping her. So there was technically no antagonist. And it's probably, it's rare for us to not like the main character. So I guess that's good about it, that she decided us to not like the main character. But other than that, I just found it
I wouldn't even consider her
mundane.
I just call her a central character. I really don't. To me, a protagonist would be, you could say they're synonymous, but a protagonist to me is someone that's more of a positive force
But
within
that's
the
what I
piece.
mean. The rules in writing is you need to have a protagonist and antagonist, and she decided not to do that. Which that, in a sense, I like the fact that she didn't follow the rules. But all in all, just
Mm-hmm.
Could I say one other thing? It's kind of a quick question,
Mhm.
but had there been an afterward, or like an after, like we met up with her 20 years later. How is she still doing what she loves? Is she, does she have kids now, or is she doing time in the penitentiary?
Would have been interesting, but I think that would defeat the purpose.
Well, I know that's what I'm saying.
think
It would, but
I think that
how do we
I think
feel
what
about it?
I think what we're left with is she achieved her dream, and that's that.
Yeah. But there's no
So-
remorse earlier because, I'm still hung up on the pasta thing, I'm sorry. But I'm also really, really hung up on dead because of negligence. And again, like I said, you have to really have a good lawyer to get you off negligence. But still.
Do we have any final thoughts?
I
I
got
thought
it.
I saw you eating the cookie.
Yeah.
I thought you had one hidden in your mask.
Like a squirrel.
Later.
Here is the spring of 2019 issue of the Literary Review. Thank you for tuning into this video. I hope you check out some more videos from our channel, and for now, keep reading.